So I met him on a dating website. It was Match.com. He was very nice to me, and I thought he was different than my father was. And it turned out he was much worse because I knew the true colors of my father. Maybe because I was growing up with him, I knew. But my ex-husband, he was wearing a mask. After a few years later, it's like I said, I'm done. He knew I got a job, and I was trying to get over that relationship. And he's like, he was begging me to take him back. He told me that I'll make you fall in love with me again. Don't leave me. I'll change. Give me another chance. And then after that, my mother, she got sick. She got cancer, and I totally forgot about the divorce situation. My ex-husband wanted me to quit my job. I quit my job. He was always trying to isolate me from other people, control my life, not having friends. After that, I want to have children, to have my mother's legacy. And I love being mommy. When I had my first child, when I hold that baby in my arms, it was very beautiful feeling. It's just like I wanted to have my second child after my son was 2 years, 8 months, and I couldn't have children because I had
well, you just had some injuries.
Some injuries I had. So I had to go through IVF. My ex-husband didn't want to have children anymore, and I didn't know. And he had a second time. And then we finally, negotiation, we finally agreed to have the second child. And I had my second boy, and now he's 4.5 years old. I just love being mother. My dream is like having a happy family, which I was dreaming on my own. It was just one side.
But you know what? That's a reasonable thing for a woman to want to be having a happy life, to have a good husband, to have children, and them grow up and have wonderful lives and have their own families. So your wishes and your dreams were very reasonable,
Yes.
but you had some things that really made that impossible to have happen for you.
Yes, it was impossible because I found out my ex-husband was cheating on me, was doing drugs. My older son, he was witnessing my abuse. Even when CPS co-worker came, it was very hurtful to hear that. Or my older son told CPS co-worker, my dad is very bad man, he wants to kill mommy. I had to call the cops on him, and me being from overseas, I didn't know the law very well, and he has threatened me in several ways. I was going to take my children and go to the shelter. He told me if I go to the shelter that he's going to take my children away from me. And I had to stay so many years with this abusive relationship till it came to a point I can't do anymore because it was hurting me, it was hurting my children.
It's not unusual for a woman who's in abuse to try everything she can, giving up everything she can, giving up her own hopes and dreams, her money, her rights, trying to make the family work. And then one day something can happen that makes things just snap. You have to change, you have to get out, and you know it.
Yes.
And that happened for you, didn't it?
Yes, it did happen to me. Yes, it's like, and even during my separation, during my divorce time, I had to file the divorce secretly because I was scared. I was scared. I mean, I was scared him hiding the assets. I was scared him kidnapping my children. Because I was threatened by him that he's going to take my children away if I go to the shelter. And the CPS co-worker told me, if you're going to the shelter, the CPS won't take your children away. Because I was trying to do the right thing to protect my boys. And my son witnessed like him threatening me, he's gonna kill me so many times.
This is very unhealthy, and you were making healthy, responsible choices for your family, and yet getting threatened and intimidated and being fed misinformation to keep you in a really bad situation for a long
Yes,
time.
It's not just like it was physical abuse, it was emotional abuse too. Every time he used to look in the mirror, he used to tell me how that I got lucky having him in my life as a husband. He used to put me, my self-confidence always down. Like I'm never good for him.
Did that damage your
Yes,
self-esteem?
it did. It damaged my self-esteem. It did damage my self-esteem, my self-confidence. Like, and from that, I always feel that I'm never good to any job. I'm never good to anything. That I can do anything.
You told me that you had a faith upbringing as a child and as a young woman. Did your faith give you courage or give you inspiration to endure some of these abuses, or did you?
I lost during my marriage. My ex-husband did not believe in Jesus and God, and he didn't want my children to get baptized. He tried to keep me away from my family, and he used to make fun of me when I talk about Jesus. He used to make fun of me, and from that time, it's like I stayed away from Jesus. I stayed away from God, and it made my life even worse. Staying away, I lost my trust in God. I lost my trust in Jesus. It put me more inside, like as a bitter person, and anger, and I'm getting over my angerness now. Every time, like now, I'm so grateful to Miss Abigail. She really advised me, gave me lots of advices whenever I have that feeling of like how to able to forgive people and forgive myself too.
I just wanted to mention, a lot of people call me Ms. Abigail. I'm Margie.
Margie,
Remember?
sorry.
I know you're in front of
I
the
know.
camera, so it kind of made it a little tricky to try to
Yes.
remember my name on the spur of the moment. Abigail's a lady in the Bible that we named our organization
Okay.
after, and anybody that wants to look that up can read about her on our website, Abigail. But she was the second wife of King David of Israel, and a very good inspiration for women who are getting out of abuse and trying to live a safe and a sane life, and still try to help people and become the woman she needed to be. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you for complimenting me, for helping you. I think that we intersected when you were at a real critical time. The divorce was already done, and you found out about us and gave me a call one
Yes.
night.
Yes.
Tell me about what that was like to find us and to find our website. How did that encourage you?
When I got your website, when I was reading, I felt it's like I was living in that moment. It was really hurtful to read. It's just like I felt I was also fresh that time more, and I'm not able all the way over it yet because it's been 2 years almost, my divorce. But it was hard to read those words because I felt what I went through. It was my life there.
I appreciate you sharing that. And one of the reasons why I went into detail with my story is that so that somebody like you could see it as a mirror to recognize I really am in a really bad place. I need to do something different, and there can be help for me and hope for me, and I can live a better life than this, because I felt so alone and isolated from hope and from help, even though I was a Christian lady. And I'm glad that that was a help to you. So you called me up, and what was that conversation like?
I called you, and you showed me that there are people who can help you. There are hope in life. There are good people, because lots of my colleagues' friends' wife, which they were my friend before, they didn't want maybe interfere in the situation. They gave up on me as a friend.
Did you feel isolated?
Yes, I felt isolated. I felt it's like, what if this could have happened to them, to their daughters, to their sisters? How they feel if I would do that done to them, like isolate them, stop talking with them. It was hurtful, yes. And I found like some friends at park, and they were really good people. They heard me, and one day one of this lady, she gave me your number, and I called you. It was in Elm Park. I met her, and I don't know. That's the time I called you, and I was like, no, there are people who has been in this situation who
Yes.
can help you, who you're not alone.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are legal opportunities, there are counseling opportunities, there are faith opportunities, there are support groups that people can go to. There's legal aid assistance that you can get a little bit of legal help, but generally the legal expenses involved in building a new life and getting safe from abuse are very costly. Have you found that your legal bills were exorbitant and very difficult to handle?
Uh, I was going to a place with counseling, which is like governmental help. It really helped me, and it helped my son because my son was going anger problem too.
Yes.
And I mean, all I was came during my divorce is my children.
What facility was helping you with the counseling?
What?
What facility helped you with your counseling? Was it Genesis Center or
It was the hopes.
Hope Store?
Yeah. Yes.
Hope Store is wonderful.
Yes, they're really wonderful. Yes.
Another really good one is the Family Place in Dallas, which is known all around the world. And all three of these organizations are really amazing and have many, many services.
Yes.
So I would certainly encourage anybody that wants to check into those, that those are resources that can provide the help with exactly what you're feeling your need is. You know, one of the things that I have asked you each time we've talked is, what are you feeling a need for today? How can I help you today with what you're doing? Because there are different stages that you go through as you begin to climb out of abuse and unshackle yourself from the difficult relationships and commitments and bad thoughts that have, you know, invaded your mind. So one of the things that we talked about was legal help one time. Another time we talked about what to do about a job decision. I remember that you were thinking, I believe it was around Christmas time, you were thinking about just quitting your job, which was also an abusive situation, you told me, and just going back to school and counting on your ex-husband's support for you to live on. You remember that conversation?
Yes.
And I said, no, Marlene, that's not a good idea because, and how did that conversation go?
Yes, I'm glad what I did, I had to provide shelter to my children, and that I had to refinance the house. During the divorce, I had to get the house, and I refinanced for me to refinance the house, I had to have a job. So I got a job, and the job, they realized I was weak. I think I had a self-confidence problem, and they abused me too. It was a toxic situation, but I had to stay in toxic situation till I able to refinance my house.
So you had a plan.
Yes.
And you knew that by being patient to get to the point where you could do your plan, you could do that. Sometimes when women are leaving, they have to gather their paperwork, the children's birth certificates. They have to gather a divorce decree. They have to prepare maybe something to keep the abuser away from the children. They might have to get an extra set of car keys so that they can flee in the night. They have to prepare a suitcase of clothing for everybody.
I have always prepared suitcase.
Yes, and so in preparing like that, sometimes you have to patiently wait instead of just immediately leaving. Sometimes the thing to do is to leave immediately. Sometimes the thing to do is to prepare and work your plan, and that's what you were doing. So why did you not stop your job at that point? Was it mainly because you were trying to refinance the house? Is that the main reason?
No, because I needed to provide shelter for my children.
Yes.
I want to give my children a good life. I want to have my children around me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can have a shelter, food for my children.
I was concerned that if you walked away from your job that was your money, that if your husband decided, at that point he was still paying the bills and he was being generous to everyone, basically, you reported. But I was concerned that as time went on, as the divorce became more real in his mind, that he would not be financially loyal to you and the children. And I said, Marlene, you really need to get financial independence as soon as possible. Stay at your job and then get another better job, but don't just shut everything down and go back to school full time.
So I was like in July 2019, I took over the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I started paying all the bills for my kids. And in August, I went called every places jobs. I need a job. I'm a single mom. And they told me, okay, come for an interview. And I went into interview. The manager was nice, but the previous manager was very nice. She accepted me, and I started working. But it was like 2 months later, the managers changed. 2-3 months later, and the situation started going down. And the place was very toxic environment. But I said no. I'm going to stay here. Days I used to put my kids sleep. After I used to cry. I didn't want to see me crying, and I just like I was going like getting poison every day. Every time I had to enter that building, I felt like on my chest, like again in this building. It's like I didn't like my job. It was lots of times I was sick. I was forced to work. I was emergency, and from the emergency I had to go back to work. And they knew I was at the emergency. I was sick during my work, and that time was divorce was not finalized yet. We were still separated, but it was filed. So, but the agreement was made. So, and it was on 2020 February, my divorce got finalized, and it was just 1 week. It was actually like less than week left. They were going to cancel the divorce because it took long to get finalized. I fought hard so to make this divorce go through. My
Yes.
ex-husband did not want through. He didn't want the divorce.
I'm glad you pushed it through and didn't let that deadline pass.
I was having toxic work life.
Yes.
And I was taking care of my children, and I had no help.
So the friends who had been couple friends
Yes.
abandoned you.
Yes.
You didn't have a financial security from your ex-husband or your own money.
Yes.
Your mom and dad weren't helping you at this time.
Yes, my mom
And-
was passed away, and my family, they did not help me during that time. I mean, after
You know that's very common, that
After-
family members either don't understand or they don't care or they don't realize how bad things are for a
Yes.
woman who's getting out of
They
abuse.
started helping me after my divorce, after my situation was calm. But when the bad situation, I asked my father, I wanted somebody because like to take care of the children from school. I had no one.
Yes.
I had to work a certain job so I can people able to take up from my children from their school and bring them to me, where's my workplace. During
So your job has been working with children so that you could be
Yes,
close to your children
yes,
after they
yes,
finished
yes.
their day's education. So
Yes.
I made arrangements like that too when my children were very young, and they needed somebody to be there for them, and I tried different things like having a teenager babysit them, having somebody drive them home, and then watch themselves as they got a little older. I tried leaving my work an hour early at the end of the day, and that's one of the things that's really hard for a woman who has not had to be in full-time work, who is escaping abuse and trying to rebuild a life for herself. It's very, very, very frustrating and frightening trying to arrange for the children's safety.
Yes, and it's not just that. It's like even if trying to make your new life, your ex-husband is trying to stop that
Yes.
making happen.
What are some of the ways that he tried to block or prevent or confuse or just deceive other people as you were trying to make safe, healthy, reasonable choices for yourself and your boys? What were some of the things that your ex-husband did to try to mess things up?
He was trying always threaten me during the divorce. I was like financially make me fear that I cannot do it, I cannot make it, and it's like, and I've been always like a housewife, and I didn't have that much skills that time, and I was like, can I do this? Can I provide? Can I provide a good life to my children? It's like he was always like putting me down during like my separation, because he didn't want a divorce. He wanted me to take him back.
If he was so abusive to you, why would he want you back? Do you think he was just trying to control you, or do you think he didn't want the humiliation of having his wife divorce him? Why do you think he was trying to keep you together?
He wanted to keep together because he didn't. It was about all money.
And were there other women involved?
Yes, it was other women involved, and he has wasted over $100,000 on his girlfriend. Yes, it's all about money because he didn't want to lose the house, and he was upset when he lost the house. Yeah, I had to give, for me to keep my children safe. I gave up from lots of his stockings. I took I say probably less than 40% from the assets than he had, so I can keep my children safe.
let me just clarify that. So 40% of your combined assets, so
Yes.
investments, a 401k, stocks and things like that, you got less than half of that in
Yes.
order to get the house and to get safe arrangements for your children.
Yes. So yes. So he pretty much sold his children.
That's a pretty strong statement.
Yes. I gave him $25,000 when I refinanced the house. We made an agreement that the children, and it's a plus he has by court, he has to take every 6 months drug test. And he has already missed one. Last year in March, he didn't do it.
Did he have a consequence for that?
If there is a consequence, I mean, the first attorney that I had, she told me she should have put like, if he doesn't take, she should have put like can he have injunction, but she didn't do it.
And now it's too late.
Yes, it's announced too late. Yes, my second attorney told me, but it was already signed. The only way I can do it, every time I have to go to court and put lots of expenses, and I mean,
So it sounds like part of your story has also been that
it's never
you had
ending
to
story.
you had to learn what battles to fight and which ones to let go, which ones to use your money and your time and your energy on, and what
Yes.
things you just weren't going to fight because you had to use your resources and wisely choose.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, I mean, I just chose like let it go, and whenever I see my children are going to sleep with me till my son is almost 11, 12 years old.
You mean sleep at your home?
At my home, all he has is visitation. My children cannot sleep at his house, at his place. He doesn't have a house. He lives in one-room apartment now.
You gave me 2 or 3 really big reasons why you felt that was important for them to not be there overnight. What were some of those reasons?
Because he is living with a woman who is a prostitute, and she attempted suicide, and she was doing drugs with my ex-husband.
One time when the police came to his home, there were drugs
Yes.
that he quickly hid, but some of them you found later on the floor that actually had been out.
Yes, and I took a picture of the drugs, and I did send these pictures to the CPS also. Yes.
Let's talk about your journey of rebuilding your life. You talked about you got a better job, and then you got an even better job, the new one that you're starting this week.
Yes.
How do you feel about this new job coming up?
I feel I feel now I'm more ready to start a new life, focus on the future, and forget about the past, because I mean, the negative energy is not going to bring me any good to me or my children.
You told me that you felt like the new job situation was a healthy environment.
Healthy environment. It's not toxic. It's much better, and I'm happy. I'm ready for my love journey to start. And plus, whenever I get a chance, I have my free time. I'm waiting. My children are still a little bit young. I'm waiting for them to grow up. So I want to go back to school, and I want to get my associate or bachelor's degree. I do have graphic design, web design, and executive secretary. I do have an accent. I'm from overseas, and I speak 3 languages. But
What-
I want to.
You speak Arabic and English, and what's the other
Armenian.
one? And Armenian.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do have my husband's confession, him abusing me and my children.
Yeah.
And he did tell me on his confession that if I give him chance, that it won't have happen again. But I did not believe that anymore.
So you've got a new job situation. What's your living housing situation for you and the boys?
I do get child support from my ex-husband. My new job, which I'm able to pay my house mortgage fee, insurance, and car insurance, and food, and my children's needs. And I usually always to try to provide whatever. Like, I don't want my kids to feel less than any other kids. I buy everything they need, and they need in their life.
Mm-hmm. And is the children's education, or is there school or daycare? Are you having some expenses with that?
Their daycare I was paying for a long time, till finally, when I applied 2 years ago, I finally got approved by the CCMS, the child care government. They started helping me with that, but I was paying for that. It was very tough time.
How much did it cost you each month for your 2 children?
Young child, I was paying 50% up because I was employee there. It was a preschool. I was paying $500 for each child.
For a lady recently gone back into the workforce,
Yes.
feeling like she didn't have very many job skills, feeling like she needed to be protective of her children.
Yes.
That was a very high price to be paying at that time.
Yes, it
But
was
you felt like,
nothing
did you
was-
feel like it was necessary?
Yes, I felt it was necessary for me. Having the job and getting the skills and the experience was very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed the job to refinance my house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where have you found some new friends?
I found new friends through like my school work, and when I take my children to the park. They are very. They live in where I live. It's close to my house too, which is sometimes we meet together. I take the children to swimming, to the pool. They love it. I will take to the park, and I just take them to lots of fun places. My life is all about them dedicated. All I want my kids to grow up, have a healthy and happy life and bright future, and make good choices. And I do worry them. I don't want them to have the same life their father had, because I did ask my ex-husband one time, do you want your children to grow up have a prostitute girlfriend? And he answered me, it's their choice. He used to force me lots of times like to have to be sex with him, and he used to tell me that I'm his property, and lots of times I didn't want to do it. I'm not in the mood, especially like it happened after my mom passed away. I was grieving and I was not at the mood at all, and he used to force me, used to tell me that I'm his property, that I have to do it.
I'm sorry. Well, you deserve to have your feelings heard and responded to, and you've learned that over the last couple of years, that your feelings are worth something and important, and you can choose things in your life. You can choose how people
Yes.
treat you, and you can choose to leave abusive or sick situations, and that's something that a woman coming out of abuse can really have a hard time learning to do, learning that she's really important and that her feelings really do matter as much as everybody else, and she doesn't have to make all the rest of the world be happy. She can be happy too.
Yes.
What do you do for yourself once in a while to treat yourself or to remind yourself that you're important?
During my lunchtime, when I'm working, I go buy stuff my kids they need, they like, surprise them. It's mostly I buy for them. If I see I am putting the smile on their face, is the biggest gift for me.
What is that dark sweater that you're wearing today? Tell me about your sweater.
This is the first time. It's for a while, months and months. I haven't bought things for me. It's like I just bought this today from.
Okay, so let's show how your sweater looks. Woo! Very cute. Pockets for a school teacher.
Yes.
Very cute. So you feel good wearing something new for yourself?
Yes.
You deserve it.
Yes. I never treat myself. I never buy myself. It's like I said, no, my kids are more important.
Well, you're important too. All three of you are worth something. Okay.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about some decisions that you've made recently. Tell me a little bit about bitterness and
Yes.
whatever you want to share on that, what you've learned.
Bitterness, I was after I went to abusive relationship, I was not able to forgive my husband, and I think one of the reasons because I was away from Jesus and God, stayed away for a long time. I was angry from life. I felt like angry from people who were because they isolated me. I was all alone with 2 children, single mom with full-time job. It's not easy.
Did you feel like maybe the church had abandoned you or not helped you when you were at your low point? Or that God had disappointed you?
I think the life disappointed me.
Yeah.
The life disappointed me. The people, the unfairness.
Life's not fair, is it?
No, life is not fair.
But God is.
God is fair, yes. What I learned today, that every time I feel like that the anger feeling and the bitter feeling, that when it comes to my mind, I will remember how Jesus sacrificed for us, and He forgave everybody. That if Jesus can forgive everybody, then we can forgive everybody too.
His strength is in you.
Yes.
To forgive somebody who has done and is continuing to do
Yes.
abusive intentions toward you, and yet in your heart you can have that calm joy and that peace
Yes.
that's beyond understanding. Well, does that mean you can't go to court? Does that mean you don't want your husband to pay
No.
the bills? Does that
No.
mean you have to just let anybody do anything?
No. I'm not gonna let anybody abuse me anymore. And whenever it comes for me to protect my children, it's related to court, I will do it. I will stand up for them, and I'm gonna be there for them whenever they need me. I will not let anybody hurt my children. Anybody.
How has choosing to forgive, making that choice, how has that made your heart feel different?
It made me have peace. It's like when straight from my shoulders I feel like more peace, that I can put my energy in more positive than being in negative.
What do you think the impact of being bitter for those years had on your physical health? What was the toll? What was the price that you paid in your body when you turned all that anger inside? What happened to you?
I was having nightmares. It's like it's not just I got threatened by my ex-husband. I got threatened by his girlfriend too. That I've had his confession too, that she's gonna cut up my face and put my blood on my children's body.
Tell me about some other physical symptoms that you've been having as well from the bitterness.
Yes, I was having like I couldn't eat food. Every time I eat, I feel like throwing up, and I get acid reflux. I get migraines. The stress I went through a lot, and after I learned how to forgive, I feel much better. And for a long time, my stomach was not able to accept food properly.
I saw you eat a pretty big lunch today.
No, it was like, and I really enjoyed it. I needed that lunch for a long.
We went out to lunch together, and she just ate and ate and ate and didn't have a stomach ache afterwards. So this transformation is really
Yes.
making a difference, not just in your countenance,
Yes.
but even in your body. You're feeling better already. You have a good action plan going forward for yourself and your children.
Yes.
You're finding courage and hope.
Yes, I'm finding courage, hope that I always want to put myself in a healthy environment. It's really important. If you put yourself in a toxic environment, in abusive environment, it puts you back. I mean, I learned to be in healthy environment, and I'm so happy. I'm going to start on Monday my new job, and meanwhile I will also continue my education, and hopefully I get forward and make much better choices in life.
Tell me about the Bible and how you got that.
That Bible, when I was child, I grew up with it, and my mother, she used to read every night. She was very religious woman, and she had very good heart, and I miss her a lot. I wish she was here that I can hug her.
Well, she's watching you from heaven, and she's very proud of you. Oh, I think you told me it's an Armenian English.
It's Armenian English. It's 2 versions. Yes.
Yeah. So you can read it in the heart language, as well as in your current language as well.
Yes.
And that's very meaningful. Do you think that that's going to help to give you new strength in your new responsible life, taking care of yourself? You think reading your Bible will help?
Yes, it will help. It's like it gives you the courage. It's like people need water, a drink to live in life. It's like you need to read the Bible to survive, to make good choices in life.
That's true. Sometimes wise choices are not the thing that first bubbles up in our minds, but when the Bible helps to renew our minds, then we have a new way of thinking, a new way of choosing, and new aspirations and hopes based on what God puts in there from the Bible.
Yes.
Is there any life Bible verse for you, or anything that you'd like to share with some other woman who may be coming out of abuse, or maybe she's still stuck in abuse and doesn't have hope?
You might get isolated, but don't give up, please. You might have no one around you that time. It's going to happen. Lots of people who you think they were your friend, you will find they were not.
This is true.
They were not, and do not get hurt, because if they were not your friends, then they never deserve you. because I went through.
Yeah. A lot of us have to
Yes.
let go of old friends and find
Yes,
new
new
ones
ones.
that help us with our healthy
Yes,
new life.
yes. I just want to tell them that don't give up. You can do it. When I went through divorce, I had 2 kids to take care of. I didn't have that much skills because my ex-husband did not want me to have the skills. I did not know many people. I came from different country. He always isolated me. So please find a job. What you can do it. Whatever job you can do it. Get the job first, then do the education. And I'm so grateful to you that you gave me the direction, because I was going to get my education first, then the job, which was wrong choice. Even now that I'm going to get my education, I will never quit a job. I will always have a job along my education, because you never know what the life brings you.
And that way you can have your base of support
Yes.
and
Yes.
and then still pursue your dreams.
Yes.
And that's a good thing too.
Yes. And hopefully I'm planning like gonna take my boys vacation to Florida.
That's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
And that'll be such a restful, exciting, whole new bunch of things to see and experience and do together. One of my suggestions is be sure you reserve your hot dinner reservations at the restaurants before you get there. What about a spiritual lesson that you've learned, or just a spiritual thought or a Bible verse or something like that you might want to leave with somebody to just encourage their hearts?
That when you are going to domestic violence or divorce or any abuse, do not give up from God. Do not stay away from Jesus. It hurts you more. That's what I did, and was my biggest mistake. Always read your Bible. Always stay close to God. And if you can go to church, you have somewhere close, try to go. And if you have children, keep your children close to Jesus. It just not it helps you. It helps your children too.
Oh.
I was forced not to take my children to church.
Because your husband was not a believer, and
Yes,
he wouldn't
yes,
permit that.
My ex-husband was not believer.
You've come a long way, my friend.
Yes.
Marlene, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story today. And she's come from being a very frightened, crying, worried, anxious person to a new lifestyle of courage and dignity and beauty and confidence. And I know you're a real inspiration to anybody that's going to see the story. So thank you so much for sharing it. We love you.